at a high level, one can see that all the main retailers or supermarkets have carbon targets. Tesco, for example, wants to reduce the carbon footprint of the products it sells by 30% by 2020, and it wants to be operationally zero carbon by 2050. Marks and Spencer's and the Co-op want to be carbon neutral by 2012. And the interesting things about these targets is that they reveal the different aspirations of the organizations and how far down the journey they are. For example, Tesco's zero carbon target does not include offsetting, whilst Marks and Spencer's and the Co-op do. To achieve those targets, they're going to look at five broad areas. I think it's five: energy, transport, waste and packaging, water and refrigeration, and then of course working with the supply chain. So again, all have some degree of, or some level of targets from different baselines. The numbers in brackets are the baseline years, and they measure their performance slightly different. For example, when we look at Sainsbury's 25% reduction per meter squared by 2012, they mean 25 per meter squared of sales area, so it doesn't include the area beyond the checkouts. So through these targets, that they're all pursuing slightly different things, but some have actually already delivered actual reductions in electricity consumption. For example, the Co-op, with their 25% reduction by 2012, in 2010 actually achieved a 29% reduction. So in terms of the initiatives that they're looking at, there are two broad categories. The main one is energy efficiency, be it through retrofitting or new building design, and renewables, again retrofitting and renewables and new buildings. And some of the things they're looking at for LED includes, for energy efficiency, beg your pardon, includes lighting. So for example, they're all looking at LED lights, and the Co-op has LEDs to some extent in over 600 of their stores. They have, I think, over 2,000. Whilst some others have installed sun pipes, which are the ultra-polished aluminium tubes that bring outside sunlight into the inside of a building. They're installing a wide range of timers and sensors that switch things on and off as and when required. They're investing in behavior change through training and manuals. For example, again, the Co-op has 6 regional energy managers who have trained over 3,000 employees. And energy and climate change initiatives are becoming an integral part of training in these organizations. They're looking at improved maintenance for fridges, the idea being that well-maintained fridges leak less gases, and as a result of less, they have to work less. So more about that. They're looking at heat recovery by capturing waste heat from where it's generated within the store, so for example the fridges, and piping it to where it's needed in the store. And they're also recycling cold air as well. So in open chillers or around open chillers, they're taking that cold air and pumping it to hot areas of the store. And invariably, they're also looking at voltage optimization, which is a mechanism for reducing the voltage delivered by national grid, so it matches what the equipment require more closely. And of course they're all looking at a wide range of renewables, so solar, heat and PV, biomass, wind turbines, heat pumps, some of the successful examples. Less successful were kinetic plates that Sainsbury's trialled, for example, where the idea was that cars driving in its car parks would drive over these plates, and the resulting motion would generate electricity, which was going to be used to power checkouts. Whilst I said it was unsuccessful, it's something that they continue to look at. With transportation, again, they all have targets. They all have slightly different ways of wording those targets, and generally they are around deliveries, but some organizations like the Co-op and Marks and Spencer's also have targets for other modes of transport. The Co-op has a policy on emissions from its business fleet, and Marks and Spencer's, for example, has a target to reduce flights, business flights. And the sort of initiatives that are being pursued are again quite varied, from behavior change, which for example for the Co-op includes season ticket loans, which they've doubled, and I think in 2009 they made over £200,000 worth of loans available to their staff, to driver training, where delivery drivers are taught how to drive smoothly, efficiently, and at lower maximum speeds. They are investing in flexible loading, and this is where perishable items or vehicles delivering perishable items have void space, and vehicles delivering perishable items is filled with non-perishable items, so that the vehicles are always full. And the idea is, in essence, better vehicle utilization. They're also, pretty much everyone's looking at double-decker trailers. They're investing in route planning so that the vehicles either travel less time-wise or distance, and they're trying to include backhauling so that they go and pick up produce from suppliers on their way back to the depots. Sometimes they take recyclates back as well. And of course more efficient vehicles, with the Co-op's limit on carbon emissions for company cars, and pretty much everyone else's commitment to investing in Euro 4 and Euro 5 engines. The initiatives around transportation are a really good example of how lots of little activities can contribute to delivering big targets. For example, this sort of initiatives has enabled Tesco's to keep its fleet the same size over the last 4 years, whilst its business has grown. And in relation to 2006, the Co-op have achieved a 20% reduction in transport-associated greenhouse gas emissions. In terms of waste and packaging, as noted earlier, they're all signatories of the Quartile 2 commitment, which has pretty well-defined targets to reducing packaging and its associated environmental impact. But then they frame wider targets, or a wider set of targets, mostly around becoming zero waste, although their interpretation of zero waste varies. Some it's zero waste to landfill, some it's zero waste from stores to landfill, and so on. However, their interpretation is quite interesting. For example, Waitrose has a target of 93% landfill diversion, and that's because they say regardless of how much recycling and energy recover, how much energy you recover from your waste, there will always be a residue that needs to be landfilled. So they say they want to commit to 93% diversion. Others are zero waste, like Tesco's, and primarily Tesco's, whilst others are becoming zero waste. But it's not just about managing waste, it's also about reducing waste, and that's where the Courtauld commitment comes in. And Marks and Spencer's has achieved a 16% reduction in its waste from a 2008-9 baseline, whilst the Co-op has delivered a 26% reduction since 2006. In terms of specific examples, well, they all have efforts to reduce the amount of packaging, either through complete elimination or lightweighting, and that can be in transit packaging or the packaging they specify. They all have pretty efficient recycling operations, so they all pretty much recycle cardboard, paper, plastic, cooking fats and oils, and there is an ever increasing amount of waste that is sent for energy recovery through anaerobic digestion, and that tends to be for food waste. And they're also working to help their consumers recycle, and because that's quite important too. So, for example, Coca-Cola say that half of a Coca-Cola can's carbon footprint is associated to how the can is disposed of once the consumers drank the Coke. So if it's landfill, or if it were to be landfill, it's something in the region of 180 grams CO2, but if it was recycled, it's in the region below 100 or thereabouts. So supermarkets are aware of this, and they're investing in packaging that can deliver that degree of savings. So, for example, Sainsbury's recently introduced milk pouches and these dispensers for them, and they claim that these reduce the amount of packaging used by 73%, and they have also set up plastic film recycling in store. So plastic film is usually not collected by local authorities, so householders can only recycle it if they take it back to the store, and Sainsbury's has this.